Hello, my name is Mariam Tabrizi. This video prepared for PIDP 3230, Informal Assessment Strategy Assignment number 3, Option A. For this assignment, I choose to use and explain the modest point technique. I chose this strategy because this technique is very easy, simple, and quick to use. And also at the end of each session, I can use it and get feedback from my students. The modest point is a classroom assessment technique which the teacher asks students at the end of teaching session to write down the answer to the question, what is the modest point or most confusing point addressed today? Most teachers ask students, do you have any question? The answer is usually silence. When nobody has any question and the room becomes still, I think that nobody is following me. But what was the modest point is more motivating to get students involved and comment on teaching or their content. Now I'm going to talk about how I use it with my students. First, I pass out piece of papers near the end of the class, and second, I ask students to write down the topic or idea that they understood list. Third, I collect the papers as the student exit. Fourth, I separated the papers into categories, and fifth, I review the modest point at the beginning of the next class meeting. On the next class, I wrote my feedback on the board and tried to be more constructive. What is the advantages of this method? First, it creates a positive learning environment that encourages open dialogue and trust between teacher and students. Second, students will pay more attention to the content and their understanding of the content. Third, it helps instructors facilitate students' learning while keeping students actively engaged in the learning process. And fourth, it is easy, quick, and simple to administer. Now, what are the disadvantages of this method? The first one is that it focuses only on what the students don't understand. Second, it can be discouraging instructors that even their best prepared are not enough. Third, becoming self-assessors takes time and practices and may not wish to develop that skills on the class time. And the fourth is that as the students become more adept at this method, they may raise difficult questions that we may be unable to answer on that spot. The information that I get from this strategy is that the modest point is remarkably efficient since it provides a high information return for a very low investment of time and energy. And it is important to do not become angry or disappointed when students identify something as a muddy point, that we are positive, we present it with absolute clarity. It is recommended that at least don't respond to the class until we have dealt with those feelings. As I use the modest point strategy in my last two classes, I can say that it was very effective, and my students preferred this method comparing to my own method. My method was about getting a small quiz after the lesson that I thought and on the same day. At the beginning of the class, I explained to my students that they have to listen and pay attention to the lesson carefully because at the end of the class, I'm going to give them 2 questions from the current lesson. When I checked the quizzes, I understood their weakness, and for next session after reviewing the previous lesson, I put more emphasis on the problem that they had on those quizzes. To be honest, it was very stressful for students and they preferred modest point over the quiz. I believe students, especially adult learners, should learn the lesson without stress and anxiety. I'm going to work more on the modest point and use it more in my classes. I don't use it for every session because I want to make them alert about the things that they learned, not just the muddy point. So I think the combination of modest point and my own method will be more effective. Thank you very much for watching my video. Good luck.